I'm finally back. I have a brand new phone. I took extra time off because I was having trouble getting my parts to make videos. And as you know, I don't have enough lack of amnesia to have like meetings in my head with my parts. So I can't do voting and stuff like that. So I just have to do it by how things feel internally. And so finally, I worked up the energy or courage to make a video because we do love making videos. And so here we go. I'm gonna do a big old update on everything that's been going on. And so I will start with the reason why I've had trouble making videos. You know, I've been doing a lot of therapy and a lot of work with my psychologist and my therapist about my history. And what I found is one of the main reasons why I have trouble doing things, and it's anything. It's nothing. It's not intellectual difficulty. It's not physical capability that prevents me from doing things. It's emotional. I don't have the emotional capability to do the things I want to do, and so I'm working on trying to get past that. Like this video is one of those. For maybe a week now, I've been trying to make a video, but you know, when you have DID, it's not always possible. And so what I found was in therapy was that one of the reasons why everything is difficult for me, why certain alters prevent us from doing the simplest tasks, brushing our teeth, washing our hair, going for a walk, making a video, is because when I was a kid, I could not run very fast, okay? I've never been a fast runner. I played sports as a child, and my coaches used to say they had to put skates on me to get me around the bases when I played softball. Because I've always been very short, can't run to save my life, literally. So my method for protection as a child from certain things that were going on in my life was to hide. I would put myself, like for example, I would go in my closet under an enormous pile of dirty clothes, and I would cover myself with the clothes, and I would just sit there as still and quietly as possible. And so hiding, freezing is my go-to protective measure. And so I have a bunch of child alters that they're there internally and they don't know what's necessarily going on externally. It's due to layering, okay? You know, information can be layered down without certain contexts to other parts of yourself. And so child alters are often around internally. Anytime we try to do anything, they freeze up and get scared because they don't want to impact their environment. When we were kids, we learned that if you impacted your environment in any way, people would know you were there. That means if you move objects, if you see certain people, if you shuffle things around, somebody's gonna know where you are. And so I have a lot of young alters who don't want to affect their environment at all. They don't wanna move anything. They don't wanna take a shower. Somebody might hear the shower. They don't wanna walk across the house. Something could happen. So that's why everything is extremely difficult for me. But hopefully in the future, as I eventually develop cooperation, that won't be as big a problem. But right now, it's like the worst problem that I have regarding my DID. Other than flashbacks. Okay, and so I'm just kind of giving you an overall update. So that's the reason why I haven't made a video, including I didn't have a camera, and now I do, and it's brand new. So now I've got a nice crisp camera, so you can see all of my old lady wrinkles, and you can just see how aged and ancient I actually really am. You're welcome. And so, okay, I wrote a little list of the things that I wanted to update you guys on. Okay, so here's a few other things that have happened since you've last seen me. I've debated whether I was going to discuss this, but these parts of me want to be discussed and they want to be on the channel. And so I'm going to do that because I'm trying to show my alters that I respect their decisions. And once you hear, like if you're any part of the DID community, once you hear what these alters are, you're gonna immediately know why I was debating whether I should even put it out there or not. And if you know, you know. If you don't, never mind. But if you know, you know. And so I met these two alters that introduced themselves in a very interesting way to me one night. I was just sitting there hanging out like I normally do, listening to music, watching TV, whatever it was I was doing. And I started in my mind's eye seeing these images of like something swimming past, like floating, like swimming past. And I was like, what's happening? And I felt dissociated. And so these twin alters introduced themselves to me. And they are, and I'm just going to tell you what they are, and we're going to move past it because I know, okay? They are siren mermaids, twins. They call themselves the sisters. And what's strange about them is they can appear as one part, but they can also divide in two. But they can go back to being one, and so they go back and forth. And they call themselves the sisters, like a mythological thing, and one has a purple fin and one has a blue fin, and it's beautiful, and they're age sliders. And they slide between, like, I don't know, 11 and early 20s, I think. And they're basically the most beautiful little twins in the world. And they're very sophisticated, and they're very their emotions are really muted, and I think that's part of their role. And let me explain to you why I might have siren mermaids in my system. Okay. When I was 3 years old, I drowned. And this was no normal, like this was an extremely severe drowning. I was dead. Basically one day, my mom had to go pick up my sister, and so me and my brother were in the truck with her, and she got out to go like pick up my sister and talk to the mother or whatever. And my brother got out of the car because he's older. He got out of the car and there was a swing set in the backyard. And this was 1980. You have to remember that. Things were just different. So he got out of the car to go on the swing set. I followed him and I saw a pool. Of course, I was 3. I didn't know how to swim. I was wearing this long Holly Hobby dress down to my ankles, and everybody always thought I had just fallen into that pool, but I remember getting in. I don't know why I remember. I've always remembered. I remember getting in and then like going around the edge of the pool like kids do when they can't swim, you know? And then I guess at some point I just let go because I probably thought I could float. I was 3, I didn't know. So my mother was in, there was a sliding glass door by that pool. And a lot of this I'm telling through the stories I've been told by people in my family, because let me just say, I never heard the end of this, okay? This story was told a million times, and it always ended with this. Well, if Brandy hadn't drowned, Sherry wouldn't have gone crazy. Sherry is my mother. So a lot of people used to say, if Brandy hadn't drowned, Sherry wouldn't go crazy. So you can understand why, for a long time, I had a lot of guilt related to my mother's mental illness. I thought it was my fault. But anyway, so I had a very severe drowning. My mom saw me through the sliding glass door floating face down in the pool. She ran out. She pulled me out of the pool. And at that time, my mother was in nursing school, but she was so shocked by her own daughter. She couldn't do CPR, but luckily her friend did. They called the ambulance. I sent to the hospital. I was like in the pediatric intensive care for like weeks, maybe a month. And due to that, because my mother stayed with me day and night, that's why she had her first psychotic episode, because she didn't sleep and she had latent bipolar disorder nobody knew yet. She was 25, so that's when my mother first got really sick, is because of my drowning, and it was extremely severe. And all I remember, I have like 3 flashes of when I was in the hospital as a 3-year-old. I remember having like shin guards on my arms. It just seemed like that, where I couldn't lift my arms. Apparently they put those on little kids so they don't pull out their tubes. I remember being fed hot tomato soup by a nurse or something. And then I remember leaving, and I remember I was being pushed out in a wheelchair by my grandmother, who was my favorite person. And then I remember throwing a tantrum because I wanted the wheelchair because it rolled. You know? And so why would somebody who had such a severe drowning have siren mermaids. Well, what can mermaids do? They can breathe underwater. Extremely important, they can breathe underwater. And what can sirens do? Sirens can sing and call people to them and rescue you, you know? So it makes perfect sense to me why I would have these twin siren mermaids. I have no idea why they're twins and why they can be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. I don't know why. So that's new. I met them, so you may see them on this channel. I don't know. If they come out, whenever they come out, and you'll see. Also, more of the update. I know I sound like crazy because I'm anxious. You know, I have anxiety when I film sometimes. And so another thing that happened, and I'm gonna make a whole video on this, is I had a new type of flashback. And this flashback was far worse than emotional flashbacks. Like, I thought emotional flashbacks were bad because they make me feel totally insane. I treat other people like they're my abuser, and I can't tell the difference. Like, you know, I thought that was the worst. And then I had something called a somatic flashback. And I'm gonna describe to you what that felt like because it was nuts, guys. When I was just sitting doing my stupid stuff, watching TV or listening to music or something one night, and I was alone, and then I suddenly felt like somebody was watching me. Like, you know how you feel when eyes are on you, like somebody's watching you from behind you, like kind of turn around, so you just kind of feel it. It felt like that times 1,000, like this something right in front of me was just boring a hole in me with their vision. It was extremely powerful to the point where I couldn't ignore it. Like, you know, at first I'm like, oh, it's just your imagination. It's just your imagination. Don't worry, don't worry. You know this isn't real. But then the feeling got so powerful that I started to question my reality. And so then, and then I got this feeling that this entity that was staring at me wanted to murder me. It wanted to kill me. I mean, it wanted to gut me. But it couldn't for some reason. It was not allowed to, but that's the energy I got from the staring thing I was imagining, I guess. It wasn't imagining, it was a flashback. It was a flashback to something that must have happened. But it was so terrifying, so intense. It would not go away that my brain started going, maybe this is ghosts. Maybe ghosts exist. Maybe there's a ghost right in front of me just hating me, you know? And then I had another thought where I was like, oh my God, please don't be ghosts. Like, I can't handle if ghosts exist. I don't want to know if they exist right now because I'm not ready for ghosts. So please don't do this to me, universe. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's aliens. The government says there are aliens. Maybe there are aliens standing right in front of me, just staring a hole in me, wanting to kill me, but they can't, you know? And then I had this horrible fear that this ghost or alien or whatever this being was gonna take its fingernail and just cut a hole in the fabric of my reality and show me something. And once I see it, I'll never be the same. And in a very horrible way. I was just terrified I would find out something about the universe that I couldn't handle, and it would change my reality forever, and I would never be the same, and I might just go crazy for the rest of my life. Like, that is how this whole flashback felt, and the terror was off the chain. Okay, I can't even explain. I couldn't ignore it. I got so scared I woke my partner up because I'm like, you need to wake up. You know, I'm like, he was in bed. He had to go to, he was in bed and stuff. So I was like, you need to wake up. He's like, what? I'm like, just stay up with me. I just need somebody to be awake. I cannot handle whatever, if there's an alien or I can't, you know? And so, and the whole time, this went on for about 5 hours. And the whole 5 hours, I thought, for some weird reason, it was immediately like, this is forever. This is it. Forever. This presence will be with me, and that's permanent, and it's forever. And no idea why that thought existed in my head or what that's about, but it's like I was certain that this was forever. That this being that was staring holes in me, it felt like they were giving me a bear hug, but the worst, most awful, suffocating bear hug ever, along with the staring. and I thought I was gonna die. I thought aliens were just gonna murder me and change all of history, like I never existed. Like, that's how crazy it got in my head. I thought reality was gonna crack in half. I honestly did. And, you know, Eric got up and I felt a little safer because I knew he was there, and I was like, they're not gonna do anything in my mind. I'm like, they're not gonna do anything in front of him. And then eventually I followed him back to bed and I went to sleep. And then when I woke up, the flashback was gone. And I immediately researched what this was. These feelings, or all of this physical sensations, the feelings, the looking at me. And it turned out that it was a somatic or sensory flashback is what it's called. And I will tell you right now, I'll take 1,000 emotional flashbacks over one sensory flashback. It was horrifying. I don't know how to express it, the horror, you know? And so I'm eventually going to do a video on flashbacks again, related to sensory flashbacks. But if you have any questions about flashbacks, you should go to the CTAD clinic. Mike Lloyd, the doctor there, does great videos on flashbacks. He has a whole series. Okay, so there's that with the flashbacks. And the last thing is, I am applying for something called an IHHS worker, which is a home health services worker. Because I'm on disability, I'm applicable, but they still have to interview me to see if I'm totally applicable. I mean, being on disability obviously makes it more easy, but it doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to get the worker. And what this worker does is they help you with things. Like if you need to get a ride to an appointment, they take you. If you need groceries and you can't get them, they'll get them for you. If you need to fill out paperwork and you're too mentally unable to, they can do that for you. And so I sort of need stuff like that, not because I can't do these things. I can intellectually and physically do them. I can't emotionally do them yet. And so honestly, I feel like if I had like an assistant who would just say, okay, Brandy, let's go read now, I could do it, because I have a bunch of child alters, like I said, that are afraid to move, are afraid to do things. But if somebody tells them it's okay, they can. But, you know, I don't, anyway, I know this is a little bit chaotic because I'm just nervous, and it took a lot to make the video. But I missed you guys, and I really wanted to make a video, and I wanted to give you an update, and I want to start making videos again. Yeah, so I want to start making videos again. Just know that I missed you, I love you, and I hope this video, I don't know, it was an update. So love you.